Well, hello and welcome to episode 29 of our backyard garden here in the South Carolina upstate. It is a beautiful Saturday morning, clear blue sky. Really couldn't get any nicer. If you look really closely, you can see the moon still hanging out up there. It's going to set in another hour or two. Right now it's in the upper 70s. I think it's going to head towards mid 80s today. So just a perfect day on August 24th, 2024. We've just done our front yard garden video and we're going to do our backyard now. We're going to start actually up here with our really the only snapdragon that's still doing well in our entire yard. All the others are done, but this one that's growing up out of the concrete has been doing well since the very beginning of the year, and it still is putting out flowers now, even though it's primarily a spring and early summer flower. We've got the most fertile driveway around, so we've always managed to get some flowers coming up here for some reason. Now this one over here is about done. We haven't had a lot of water lately to keep these going. It's been pretty dry here in South Carolina lately, since that tropical storm went away a couple weeks ago. Got a little cleome growing here, and another cleome growing out of the concrete down here. This one is doing very well. Most of the early cleome that came up back in the spring are finishing up now, but this one, you can see it's a significant sized plant, and it's still giving us a lot of flowers, a lot of color, making it difficult to walk down our stairway, but you know what, I'll take it. I like the color. Over here, these are irises, all long since finished up for the year. We do have a bit of a problem. We had taken holly bushes out of here. This bed was all just holly bushes, and they really added nothing to the appearance or the landscaping, so we took them out. But unfortunately, they're so invasive, they have come back, and we hesitated to get in there because we didn't want to mess up the irises, but we're going to have to do that this fall to get the new holly that have come in there. Also some canna. They are just as invasive, and they've been a problem, so we're going to have to really do some work to keep our irises healthy in the years to come. As I said, more cleome down here. They have these typical long stalks that just keep getting longer every week, and we have both the lavender color and then the pink color. And there were a few that I think are all finished up now that were more of a white color early in the summer, but I think they're all finished up now. As I say, most of these are done, although we have a few of the pink ones that are still doing pretty well. But behind those, I haven't really shown these off before, but you can kind of see back in here, these vines have taken over this area. They're morning glories. Unfortunately, I didn't get here quite in time. I did our morning glory group out by the mailbox, but these are done for now. But I do have one that's still blooming. It's a nice pale blue color, and so hopefully we'll continue to get more as the summer continues along. We've got one that's hiding back there in the shade. But this has been kind of a lost area of our garden. We haven't really done anything with it, and somehow morning glory started to grow there a year or two ago. And last year they didn't really do a lot, but this year they are, and I think we'll get a lot more flowers coming up. We also have some tomatoes back in there, and certainly our hostas over here, although they're about done for the year. More cleome over here. All of these are growing just up between the bricks of our fire pit, and then some down here growing in the stones. And obviously they don't need deep soil, because under these stones is a not burlap, but some sort of a plastic sheeting to prevent weeds from coming up. So The stones are only about maybe 2 inches deep, and yet we have this cleome plant that's about, the trunk is about 1.5 inches wide. You wouldn't think that with roots so shallow, but this thing has done extremely well and given us some nice color in the fire pit area that we would not otherwise have. So the cleome have been a wild success for us. We just put a few plants in about 4 years ago, and everything has come from since then, just from reseeding. Now over here, the yellow knockout rose is having a good week right now. We actually have some yellow roses that are coming out. Needs to be deadheaded, but for the most part this is peaked. We're getting a little bit of second wind right now, but I don't think there's going to be a lot more after we get this current group of buds finished up. It's a beautiful plant, beautiful flowers when they bloom, but it's primarily summer. The only downside of this is that the yellow generally bleaches out with the sun, so they go from yellow to white usually in the span of 1 day. A good example of that is this one. It's already a very pale yellow, and eventually it will turn white like this one. Speaking of white, we have these hydrangeas, which were a bright white when they peaked a month or so ago, but now they've kind of turned to a pale lime green, and then they get these little reddish highlights on them, and then eventually they'll turn into just the brown. This is left over from last year, but it's an absolutely beautiful plant, huge plant, very low maintenance. We had these in now for, I think this is their 4th season, maybe 3rd, and they've just gotten bigger and bigger each year. I always point to our neighbor's hydrangea, which is exactly the same up here. It's about 12 or 15 feet in height. It's going through the same color changes, but eventually these will probably get to that height. We've got a few shoots going up upward right now that are somewhere around 7 or 8 feet in height. So yeah, these will continue to grow nicely. I guess I should say as much as we want them to, and that you can certainly cut them back if you don't want them so big or to spread out horizontally. Got a nice butterfly bush here. We have 2 of these. This is the smaller one, this is the bigger one. They're still giving us a lot of the bright purple flowers, which is absolutely wonderful. Got some zinnias, some begonias, vinca, just all kinds of different flowers on the ground here. Actually, these begonias look a little better than they did last week. We were kind of thinking that they were done for the year, but they're actually giving us quite a few more flowers than they had for a while, which is great. And then out of nowhere, we have this gladiolus. Gladiolus are typically a spring and early summer flower. This one was one of several bulbs that we put in back in the spring, and it's fully in bloom right now. Normally it would have bloomed probably 2 or 3 months ago, but when you put them in on your timetable, they'll bloom whenever you want them to. So next year, if they come back, they'll probably bloom quite a bit earlier. More begonias down here. We have a knockout rose over here, which really peaked for the most part in the spring, but we're getting a few stragglers, a few little blooms now. A lot of Asiatic and Oriental lilies that are long since finished. Daylilies back in here, long since finished up. And then we have some creeping jenny, which is just a ground cover plant, doing very well. It's spreading out nicely. Hopefully it will come back next year. We have a lot of them kind of throughout this part of the garden. We have a lot of begonias. We just got these at Walmart, and they've all doubled in size since we put them in about 2 months ago, giving us a lot of bright color, which is nice. This is a fair distance from our house, so when we look out the back windows, we can see the bright color, and it's a nice view, especially in the morning like this. Over here, one of our 6 azaleas. These are kind of having their second wind right now. When we first put them in, they typically were having their second bloom in the early fall, but now it has kind of changed up. It's now early August and into later August. Don't know how much longer they'll bloom. Hard to tell. There are still a fair number of buds, so we may get some of these into September, but they have about, I'd say overall, maybe a third as many blooms as they did in the springtime, typically around March and April. But they're beautiful. The beautiful color is welcomed at this time of year. Speaking of which, we have big impatiens, which have done very, very well this year. If you saw any of our videos last year, we had New Guinea impatiens, which are a little more inbred, a little more expensive, in fact a lot more expensive, and those were down along our pathway here. They didn't do so well. They didn't really give us much in the way of flowers, and a number of them died off as the season progressed. But these have expanded tremendously, and they'll continue to bloom like this until the first frost, which right now I'm thinking is going to be roughly 2 months from now. So got plenty of time to enjoy those. Also, it's easy to forget these, but these hostas are still in bloom. We probably have 1 or 2 more weeks of these with their delicate white and purple flowers. Blooming probably a little bit later because of all the shade. And back in here we have a wisteria that keeps staying alive but never really thriving. It just doesn't get enough light, but it's getting enough to stay alive, and maybe over time it will gradually grow and start to give us some flowers. Got another wisteria over here on the fence. It's doing very well. We've got a couple others that we'll see in a few minutes. As we continue over here, we have one big black-eyed Susan kind of out of nowhere. It's growing up here. I've said this before, but in this area looks like a lot of weeds. It's actually mostly black-eyed Susans, and we just let them grow. They came up from seeding. We have a lot of them down in the terraced area there. So we've just let them grow to see what they'll do flower-wise. We've got a few here and there, but I think maybe in another few weeks we'll have more yet. Certainly there are some weeds, and I probably should do a better job of getting those under control, but there's only so much time in the day. Now coming back over here, we have one tea rose that I always talk about. Right now we're only seeing pink and white, but when they first come out they usually have some yellow as well. I think this may be the last batch of these for a while. They're not, I'm not seeing any more buds for the time being, so that this may finish them up for the year, or we may get some in the latter part of the season. We'll see. Got a tea rose over here, giving us some really pretty coral colored blooms right now. Not a lot, but enough to take note of. And then over here are lamb's ear, which is another ground cover plant, doing well. It likes where it is. Spread out nicely. Gave us a few of their unusual flowers early in the summer. There's some vinca, our Asiatic lilies, all long since finished up. And more vinca here. We've got a hibiscus here. And this hibiscus is not the healthiest looking plant in the world. It hasn't grown much at all, but it has put out a lot of flowers. Right now they're all buds, so next week we'll probably see quite a few more flowers. And then back in here, our local beaver decimated our gigantic knockout rose with the blood red flowers on it, but because the plant itself is so healthy, when you look at the base of it here, it's huge. Kind of hard to see in this view, but it's a very, very healthy plant. So even though all the branches were cut off of it, it's got all these new branches coming up and even some buds. So we're going to get some color off of that here in another few weeks. And my wife was brokenhearted when we saw that the beavers had come in and done that. You can kind of see this area was pretty dense with vegetation, and they just came in and destroyed pretty much everything, as they're prone to do. But you know what? I'll tell you, I would rather have them do that than take down one of our birch trees, which we have down by the pond, or some of the other trees that we have here. They're very destructive little things. Fascinating mammals, but they are very destructive if they put their sights on your yard. Got an interesting little wildflower here. We have a number of these in the front and the back. We don't know the names of them. We've had them for a while, and they keep blooming. Very pretty. And then some zinnias in here. We have some daisies that are getting ready to start blooming again in a little while. And then over here, the pink climbing rose. These are, you don't really see it in this view. I'm gonna have to step back a little bit, but you really see it from the house. It looks like we're in the middle of spring. They have so many blooms up on top of the trellis, and it's really neat, especially in the springtime. We've got so many roses now across both sides of the trellis. We have red on the left, pink on the right, and then we also get kind of a mix of clematis and jasmine. So you get the little white jasmine flowers and the various colors of clematis up there all at the same time. It's quite impressive. But that's only typically for about 6 weeks in April and May. So we'll be looking forward to that next spring. Here we have, speaking of impressive, a lot of vinca that have done very, very well here. Mostly white, but with a few of these lavender ones, which look really nice. We have a beautiful pink climbing rose here that has done very, very well, even though it's lost most of its leaves. Almost every week we have some more blooms to look at. Big one up there. A little hard to see some of this because of the sun right now, but trust me when I tell you, these look great. We saw a plant similar to this in our front yard. I think this is related to spiderworts, but I don't know the name of it. And we have a similar one that has blue flowers with green leaves in the front yard. Don't know what they are, but they are very nice. Give us those little delicate purple flowers. Here's our other hibiscus. Now this one has grown considerably, but it isn't giving us a whole lot of flowers. This one is yellow, whereas the other one is pink. I don't know quite what this one is going to do, whether it'll put out more flowers or not. Now here's something we see every once in a while. This little frog, little tiny frog, it's right here on a leaf, and let's see if we can get a better view of him. There we go. These little guys, we have hundreds of them down by the pond. They're not in the pond, they just hang out on the leaves of the trees and flowers that we have down in the area, and they're just chirping all night long. Right now all we can hear in the background are locusts, but this is a big locust year, but every year is a big frog year, and you really hear the chirping from right about dusk until dawn, and then you'll get some bullfrogs in there too to kind of give you the bass, and it's quite a chorus all night long. More zinnias over in here. Nice mix, and it's easy to forget these because they look so much like daisies, but we don't have a lot of white zinnias, but back here we do, and we really got just about every color, from the pinks, the oranges, the light yellow, the deeper yellow, deep orange. It's a really pretty one right here. And that's just another thing that I like about the zinnias. Now here we have a different type of zinnia down here. These are very short. They only grow a few inches in height, but they also are very prolific in terms flowers, all one color, all pink, but nice mix from the taller ones that we tend to gravitate more towards. More over in here, again, you just see like 5 or 6 colors right off the bat, all from the same little group of seeds. It's really really fun. Now also in this area we have Veronica, and while I'm talking about the Veronica attract more bugs than any other plant that we have, usually bumblebees, but there's a mosquito on me. I just got him. Behind, I'm trying to show him off there, he flew off. The little black thing that looks like a wasp, those are mud daubers. We have those down here. They're related to wasps, but they don't really sting. So if you happen to see those, especially if they get into your house, save them. Don't try to kill them. They will kill black widow spiders, and so they are my best friends. And we leave those alone. I don't see a lot of them. We see a lot more regular yellow jackets. For some reason, I'm looking down. There are mosquitoes everywhere, so I'm going to kind of speed through this area, although I am going to show off another little butterfly here. The Veronica, those long purple stalks, they'll continue to give us some color for a while, probably another few weeks, and then they'll be done. More zinnias in here. We have a lot of this big butterfly bush. This is all actually one plant, believe it or not. Huge, huge thing. And still just going strong with lots and lots of these deep purple flowers. We have a lot of zinnias over in here. This I do not know the name of. A friend gave it to us, but I don't know what it is, with these really unique stalks of purple and pink, doing very, very well. We just put those in a few weeks ago. And then these purple zinnias are kind of in their own little category because we got these at Walmart. Each of them has grown about, I'd say, 5 times the size of what they were when they started. And they have been just covered with these bright purple flowers. We don't really get a lot of these bright purple ones with our usual mix of seeded zinnias. So these were definitely worth the purchase. Also still have a few balloon flowers here. They're mostly done for the year. We have a few more of those, but they're going to finish up pretty soon. And then some more zinnias here. Marigold's doing very well. We had some marigolds, more bright yellow ones, in the front yard, mostly doing poorly. We think they have some sort of a parasite that's kind of killing them off, so they're just about done. But these ones in the back are doing great. We have another wisteria over here. I'm trying to train it to grow along the fence. It's hanging in there. It's struggled a little bit. It doesn't get a lot of sun here, but it's doing okay. And then some dahlias here have not given us any flowers yet, but I think they will probably in another few weeks. And then some ground roses. These were eaten by the beavers over the winter. And then we got this ground cover rose a few weeks ago. Put that in. And then back in here we have a lot of gladiolus. Really have not been overwhelming this year, unfortunately. I think they're they'll last for a few years and then they're done. This is our big wisteria. It's been there for about 5 years now, and it's really taken off. I have to chop it back because the vines will just keep going as long as you let them, and they're trying to take over this weeping cherry tree, so I don't want that to happen. I want to try to keep them separate as much as possible. And then canna over in here. We had a few canna that spread from seeding out of the terraced area where we had most of them over into this area. There's really nowhere they can go that's going to cause any damage, so I kind of let them be. They haven't really done a whole lot. They've been very unimpressive, although we have 2 types, the light green ones and the dark green ones. The light green ones put out these yellow flowers, and we've had a fair number of those this spring. The taller, darker ones put out a red flower, and for whatever reason they have not done terribly well in our yard. There are a lot of them in the neighborhood that are doing well, So I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. We've got one up there at the top that looks like it's trying to come out, but I'm not sure if it's going to make it or not. Lots of black-eyed Susans in here. That's the main color right now in this terraced part of the bed, but this is something we don't see from the house, so it's not a top priority. You really only see it from down in this area and across the other side of the lake. There's a walking trail from Greer Memorial Hospital. And there we see some geese floating by, as they tend to do. But I will show off some of these little canna flowers that are doing pretty well. And very tropical looking. You know, bumblebee having a great old time there. And so we get enough of them to justify being here, but they're not exactly prolific. I don't spend much time down here at the pond at all, but I thought it would be interesting, since it's mid-morning, to just kind of show off one thing that I enjoy looking at very much, and that is all the turtles that we have here. And you don't really see them very readily, but if you look closely, right there in the center of the screen, you see just a little area of black and a little sparkle on it. That's one of our turtles. And behind that, there are some sparkles. Those are mostly turtles as well. And they just float around looking for anything that they can eat. And they're generally right under the surface. But we probably have at least 100 turtles living in this pond, along with all the other fauna and flora. We have multiple species of dragonflies that we can see here at any given time. Number of different fish, nothing big, but a number of reasonable sized fish. There are some dragonflies right there, but you'll see red, blue, green, black dragonflies, different colors, different shapes. And then of course the beaver that I've talked about. We have owls, hawks, herons, geese, ducks, and all kinds of songbirds, bluebirds and cardinals and blue jays, and you name it. So it's a fun area to just sit by. Of course, the frogs too, I forgot about those. And lots and lots of different insects. So it's a great place to enjoy nature, especially in the late afternoon or early evening. We come and sit down by the water and just listen to the sounds of the bugs and the birds and everything else. We're going to finish up close to the house now. More Veronica, mostly finished, but still some stragglers that are still going. These phlox have been blooming now for a couple of months, and they're not overwhelming, but they do provide a lot of nice pink coloration. Certainly some vinca. We've got some nasturtiums growing out of nowhere, and this is the first time I've seen this. We've got tomatoes that are ready to pick. In fact, let's do that right now. We're gonna pick this one. It looks like he's ready. That's a nice tomato. Very nice. And we got a couple over here. Another one here. So we'll take those up and have lunch. We've got some others coming. We don't have the huge numbers of tomatoes like we did in past years, although maybe in the next month we'll start getting more. We've had more than we could eat over the first couple of years that we started planting them, but they've just really gone to seed and created more, and we'll see what they do this year. That's a beautiful lavender rose that's out right now, and a little yellow one that's faded, and another one of those little spiky pink flowers that I don't know the name of, but they're nice. Got zinnias here. Got a nice red rose that's getting ready to bloom. It's interesting now that we cut that back to just the root ball, and that has come up in the last month. It's very interesting. Roses have very distinct lifespan, lifestyle, life cycle. That's what I'm trying to say. Out of nowhere, speaking of life cycle, hiding back here behind the zinnias are some clematis, some Nellie Moser clematis that are in bloom for some reason. It's primarily a spring and early summer flower, but they're always welcome any time of the year. Some more zinnias, including some of these that are almost spherical in shape. There's some more tomatoes that are getting ready to ripen before too long. And our big knockout pink rose here. Jenny chopped that back this week. We've got a few flowers on it, but it'll probably start to bloom again very soon. In fact, we have one area here that's just covered with buds, and probably by next week we'll have a lot of color here. And we have some zinnias to finish things up. These are all from seed just about 2.5 months ago. Obviously very popular with the butterflies, and he's letting me get pretty close. It's kind of nice. We have very tame butterflies here, and that's about it. So we went a little longer than usual this week, and actually I didn't finish everything. Got Leo the cat in here. He's out on the porch looking for some attention. Sleeping right in the middle of our flower bed there. Not really where we want him, but you'll get what you have. So up here, this is almost all from seed. We've got marigolds, some morning glories. They haven't done much yet in terms of flowers, but they will. We've got one flower on this plant that has come out. Vinca over here, and then some nasturtiums, and just one in bloom right now. Some more marigolds, very pretty dark yellow. Million bells down here. More marigolds, one hiding back in there. These are putting all their energy right now into just growing big. They haven't put out a lot of flowers. But then over here we have cosmos, which would appear to be sort of related to marigolds. The flowers look similar and the leaves are a similar shape, but they're actually a different plant. We have some marigolds and cosmos in together here. So that is our garden. Oh, I forgot to we have a few little snapdragons. They haven't done much yet, but we still have a couple months to go, so who knows. Leo, do you have anything else to add? He's a very talkative cat, typical orange cat, 14 years old. It's being a cat. Anything? Any parting thoughts there, Leo? Okay, that makes sense. I agree. All right. Well, on that note, we will say goodbye for this week. Hope it's sunny wherever you are. And until next time, happy gardening.